talking about carpal tunnel syndrome, people have issues with the nerves that go down their arm, and particularly into what they call the carpal tunnel, which is between these two bones, the radius and the ulna. Sometimes people will have a surgery and they'll actually have a little tendon, ligament, some sort of soft tissue in here, I think sliced and opened, so that it creates more space for the nerve because the nerve has gotten irritated. I see tons of clients who tell me they have carpal tunnel, and I always take that with a grain of salt. The reason I have to take it with a grain of salt is I have to ask them if they have been diagnosed with carpal tunnel syndrome. If they've been diagnosed with carpal tunnel syndrome, then I have to ask further questions about what's going on, how bad is it, what is the pain level. There's no standard measure for pain. So I have to ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, 0 being no pain, 10 being the hospital, where are you at? And sometimes they'll give me anywhere from like a 4 to a 7, pretty intense and painful in their hand. Sometimes they're having other pains up the arm, forearm, elbow, shoulder, sometimes neck as well. And then the whole task becomes, if I don't believe or have not been presented with any information to tell me that they have degeneration of the nerves going through the carpal tunnel, where's the pain coming from? That's always a question on my end because I'm a body worker. I don't have scans. I don't have MRIs. I don't have any tools to tell me exactly what's going on. I'm only working with soft tissue. So I wind up going through and working the forearm particularly, and working the hand, trying to find my way through. And quite often they'll tell me that they're having pain in their hand. Very basic description. When I ask for more detail, they're essentially having problems with one of these muscles in the hand that's called the first dorsal interosseous. Right on the inside, this junction between the thumb and the pointer finger will often be quite tender. I'm going to go in and soften some of this. I'll lengthen the fingers apart to lengthen and stretch. You've got opponens pollicis, and I think adductor pollicis through here, and this little meaty section between the thumb and the pointer finger. You let me know if that's too much pressure, Karina. And I'm just going to slowly soften that. People will have carpal tunnel. They're telling me they have carpal tunnel, but they've not necessarily been diagnosed with carpal tunnel. And in a single session, I can sometimes make the bulk of those symptoms go away, meaning they have pain. When the pain goes away, when your symptoms go away, do you still have carpal tunnel? That is actually a question for me, because I'm not a doctor, I'm a massage therapist. If I treat anything, it's soft tissue. But as a massage therapist, you don't diagnose or treat conditions. But if I help people with their symptoms by working on soft tissue, completely within my scope of practice, I'm holding between my thumb and pointer finger and sliding through, I believe it's opponens pollicis, adductor pollicis, these muscles right in the webbing between the thumb and the pointer finger. And then slowly the first dorsal interosseous right in here. You may notice that when I press, you see how her finger winds up moving? It's connected to this, so I'm going to prop her hand by scooting forward. I'm going to press with my thumb right in here. I can feel the muscle running right through here, so I'm going in, finding a meaty spot, pinning it, and then slowly I'm going to lengthen her pointer finger and then begin to move that muscle. This is a pin and stretch just for the hand. How's that there, Karina?
Feels really good.
Is that running through your hand? Do you feel like sensation? A little bit, yeah. And yours, it's not extremely bad. I see people all the time that they have, when I press into this, they have a response of, ooh, you know, it's intense. Is that too much there? Feels a little more dense. And again, pin and stretch, pin and move. And a little bit higher, I'm gonna switch hands. I'm gonna hook right in there. Is it running through your hand? Yeah. Now, when she has that response where she gives me, you know, noise, that normally means I hit a sweet spot. I've found what I call a trigger point, just something to do with tissue, potentially nerves, running through the area. The science is actually somewhat limited. I'm struggling as a massage therapist to find doctors, physical therapists, occupational therapists who can educate me to have me understand exactly why these things work. I know that this spot right here, it's manageable, okay? I'm gonna slowly again, lengthen that finger with the other hand. I'm gonna gently mobilize. Now, what I'm gonna do is hold this. Is that too much, Karina? Now, I want you to take your finger and I want you to move it around. You can look at mine if you need to see. I want you to move and pull through what I'm pressing into. Can you shake your finger no like this? No. There you go. And you can do that as much or as little as you want. I'm just trying to get you to access that muscle there.
Yeah, it feels really good. I can definitely feel
yeah.
Whoa.
And it runs through your hand, big and broad, right? It almost feels like the palmar side, correct? Yeah. Now I'm gonna slowly just back off and go back to where we started, which is that little traction. So this is soft tissue. This is muscle. This is very specific muscle, very delicate structures, the hands, right? One of the most depressing things as a massage therapy instructor is I talk to massage therapists all the time who tell me they're developing carpal tunnel syndrome. Guess why? Because they're overusing their hands. As much as I try to educate them in different ways to use their body, they're struggling and fighting. In trying to help people, they're actually harming themselves. One of the reasons I know carpal tunnel, or this sort of work, so well is because I thought I was getting carpal tunnel because I was one of those therapists until I learned to work differently and to work smart. Not too much there. There we go. When I was pressing earlier, that can feel inordinately intense. What I've done is backed off and I'm doing something that's a little more gentle, a little more nice to strip this out again because we want Karina to still like me when the video's over. If it's all intense, it'll just be too much, just makes her tighten up. Slowly tractioning through that webbing. If you have already had carpal tunnel surgery, in some instances they'll actually shave the space on the bone. They will shave the bone to create more space for the nerves to go through that tunnel. I'm still talking to massage therapists who tell me they're still having problems. My suspicion is they're dealing with the pathway that the nerve goes through, that tunnel, but they never dealt with the soft tissue. The soft tissue is lingered. But if we go in and address that, you can make a huge amount of pain go away. I have seen instances in my own practice where surgeries were prevented because the person's pain went away so much they didn't deem it necessary anymore. That's without medications and without surgeries. It's not invasive. Single session, all the time. If I'm at a party and somebody tells me they have carpal tunnel, I almost laugh because it's become so common, I almost begin to doubt its existence. How are we doing there, Karina? Okay. Now I'm gonna move to a second spot. We've got the thenar eminence right here. This muscle along the thumb. We use this to close this guy right here, this little pad. We use to close in all the time. We're typing, doing things. I'm going to grab there and slide right along. And she had a little response. Now, I can go across the fibers of the muscle since it runs this way. It tends to be a bit more intense, but I'm going to grab and then slowly slide with the muscle fibers while I'm lengthening the thumb pad. And I think now that I think of it, I think this is adductor pollicis. I'd have to actually look at my muscles, do some review. I do know that if I tell you the wrong muscle, you will all correct me in the comments section, though, which is nice. Right in there. Too much through there? After we work on this guy, we're going to move up the arm. But again, when people are having trigger point pain, I often find they're not always having pain from one specific muscle. Sometimes they're having a multi-layered problem of 2 or 3 different muscles referring different amounts of pain to different parts of their body. And they come in and tell me they have carpal tunnel. I see it every day in my practice. I've seen men who were chefs who retired because they couldn't hold their chef's knife anymore cry after I worked on them because they realized that the pain they'd been having was soft tissue related. They didn't have a clinical case of carpal tunnel. Now, just that little bit that we've done, Karina, I want feedback from you. How does your hand feel?
Amazing.
What happens when you open it out and kind of move it around? Does it feel different?
Yeah, it feels easier.
More spacious? Yeah.
Also been playing some piano. And
Oh.
So I think that I feel
Yeah.
definitely feel like my hand is more open and easier to
So we opened up this webbing, the first dorsal interosseous, and then this part of the thenar eminence. Again, I think it's adductor pollicis was the name of this guy right here that pulls the thumb in. I'm going to start to work on the forearm on both sides. These are the flexors, and these are the extensors. The extensors extend the fingers. The flexors pull in. If I have her arm down and out, I'm going to slowly walk my palm through here. Think about there. Usually if you looked at my forearm, you can see about this point up to the elbow is the thicker piece. There's more muscle there. I'm going to press and then move her fingers around, kind of open her palm out. It lengthens all of those forearm flexors. I can move, mobilize the radius and the ulna side by side. I'm going to slowly lean so I can slide very gently, not using any cream at this point, right up towards the elbow. Is that too much pressure, Karina? Okay, I'm going to back off just a little. Is that better? There we go. You'll learn over time to slightly shift your body weight. If you'll notice, my elbow is essentially locked, my shoulder is extended, my arm is lengthened. I've bent at the wrist comfortably, and then all I'm doing is allow the little bit of skin oil she has for me to just slide along like a snail. Right up, over. I'm starting to get to pronator teres. Pronator teres is a muscle that goes from the radius to the ulna and turns the arm in like this. Turns the arm in. Most times when I'm working on people, I'm doing the opposite. I'm rolling the forearm open and then working on this muscle. A little more intense in there? Yeah. Because she does what? Hey, I'm typing. I'm using the piano. They're using pronator teres to roll them in this way. So the muscles of the flexors and pronator teres, well, they give you T-Rex arms. T-Rex hates chaturanga, right? Slowly, right up towards the elbow. I'm starting to feel a little bit of this little line right here along the ulna. I'm gonna lean back to back off. We worked that side just a little, so I'm gonna traction and lengthen the arm and shoulder. She was saying her upper back, part of her neck, I think, was having a little issue as well. So I'll use this just to be nice again. I have a tendency to do this in session where it's intense. I back off, do something a little bit kinder, more gentle. If you make it all intense, it's just too much. Is it too much in your forearm? Okay. Now this movement, I've got a flat thumb. You can see that I'm not overstressing my joints. I'm not hyperextending my thumb. I'm pressing right into the forearm extensors, this side of the forearm. And I'm gonna switch. I get a good handshake grip. The radius and ulna are side by side. If someone is having carpal tunnel or carpal tunnel-like symptoms, I should say, what I don't want to do is I don't want to push the radius and ulna together. I don't want to squeeze these bones together because that decreases the space in the carpal tunnel. I actually want to free that open and create some space and spread. To do that, what I'm going to do is hold a handshake grip. I've got the radius and ulna side by side, and I'm just going to palm press right up the forearm. If you take a Thai massage class with me, you'll learn very quickly, as Karina is here. Pretty tender, right? These 2 points of my hand hit these 2 lines. In Thai massage, send lines, the theory that Thai massage functions in, send lines run right to the inside of the radius and ulna. And when I go into this, right in there, those 2 spots hit those points. And she says, ooh, because it's not esoteric Asian theory. It's just a very simple map showing you where to work people to find areas of tension. When you free that up, much like her hand felt, it's going to feel more free, more open, more movement, less pain. Forming that handshake grip and having the radius and ulna side by side, usually this upper portion, you can see where the wrist tapers to a thinner point down here at the wrist. Usually about here and up is the sweet spot. I'm going to press these 2 points right into the forearm extensors. I'm going to hold a spot right there. That feels a little dense to me. I'm just holding that. I'm going to check with Karina to make sure the pressure is okay. She has agreed that it is. And then I'm going to slowly form this pin and stretch. I'm going to mobilize the hand and wrist. So this guy mostly holds still. When I'm trying to give her a bit more, I just move her hand for her. After I've done a couple of passes on that one spot, I'm going to move slightly closer to the elbow. I'm going to back off, giving her a second to recalibrate. I'm going to move my hand just a little bit higher, right in here, right towards those insertions. I'm going to back off just a hair. She's breathing because she's trying to deal with the amount of intensity I'm delivering. And if you can look at me, I'm totally cool. I'm relaxed because I'm not giving myself, I'm the Fonz, hey. I'm not giving myself carpal tunnel working on someone. That's not fair to massage therapists. It's not fair to us as industry providers, as people trying to help people to hurt ourselves, right? So I'm stacked. This is comfortable for me. I'm delivering maybe 75% of the pressure I could deliver. I think it's intense to her, but not painful. I'm going to get that handshake grip again, and then slowly start to mobilize again. Now, one of the tricks that I use, and you'll want to pay attention to this, especially if you are a massage therapist and you work on people regularly. The pressure right there is good, Karina? I'm going to hold this spot. Karina is right-handed. When she uses a mouse, it's on her right side. It's using these muscles. So to make her more aware of that, I'm going to tell her, move your mouse around. I want you to move your hand like you move your mouse. So what she feels is I can feel the muscles under my hand lifting up and moving, because people don't realize that the wrist movement is coming from these muscles. Their carpal tunnel, or the symptoms of pain they feel in their hand and wrist, are often coming from this. Now I'm going to have her, hey, type for me.
Oh my God.
Exact same muscles. So when she sits for 6 hours a day on a keyboard, typing, using a mouse, sending out emails, they're using these muscles all the time. They're causing muscle tension. They're having some sort of innervation, some sort of nerve problem that I have to come in and try to address if it's soft tissue related. I'm going to gently back off just to give her a break again.
That's amazing, because you would think your finger movement comes from your wrist. But I felt that more when I did this than when I did this.
When you can see it in her hand. When she moves her fingers, you see these little tendons here? These go right up into these muscles.
I can feel it.
Yeah. So I'm going to give her a break for a second and be nice. You see a little bit of red, a little bit of therapeutic inflammation through there. And I'm just tractioning these muscles. These muscles want to shorten, right? So I'm trying to create some space across the wrist, some space in the elbow joint, some space in the shoulder, tractioning that away. Spreading the palm out. Lengthening the fingers. And then I'm going to reverse. I'm going to go back to the flexor side of the arm. Figure out, again, radius and ulna side by side. We're not pushing them together. Going to hold right in there. And then slowly begin to mobilize. You could form a handshake grip here too as well if you wanted. Let's me roll pronator teres open as I'm gliding very slowly with my right hand up towards the elbow, opening those guys up, creating mobility. I see tons of pain. It's just soft tissue. You can make it go away. Currently in our country, there is an opiate epidemic. And people who are taking opiates are in pain, whether that be mental, psychological, or physical. And you continue to slide up towards the elbow. Working on pronator teres and the forearm flexors. I've got my little handshake grip from this side. I'm going to slide gently. Lots of skin contact here. It tends to pull less than being very pointed. There's a little bit of density towards the elbow. I'm going to get to a point and almost stop and then start to roll the radius open. You can see as I mobilize, you can see that the movement here. I'm just going to exaggerate for a second by grabbing onto these two. That roll. Everybody spends their time rolling the radius closed. I'm rolling it open right into the forearm and wrist. Pressure's okay. I always check in just to make sure. Can mobilize slightly. Too much? Right at your edge. Yeah. I'm gonna back off for a second. And I'm gonna find a good seated position for myself. Because now I'm going to switch. I'm going to use her forearm to work on mine, because I use my hand still, right? I'm going to slide in How's the pressure there? Is that too much? Okay, I'm going to back off just a little. Is that better? There we go. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to move your hand and wrist around for me. I want you to pull through those muscles. There you go. Can you open your fingers out? Big, yeah, there you go. Big and wide. And then close it into a fist. And pull it up towards your elbow. Yeah. And then open it out. Can you go side to side? Can you turn? There you go. I'm getting her to explore range of motion. When she does that, you'll notice she was rolling that radius. Closed is what I called it. I'm going to maintain this here, and I'm going to let her release and relax, and I'm going to mobilize her again. Now I'm going to double up. I'm going to grab through these muscles and strip while my forearm is still holding around pronator teres. Reminding her that her forearm is indeed connected to her hand. I've just stacked my body in a way that's comfortable. My spine feels mostly relaxed. I'm able to move my head and neck around. It's good for my body mechanics, some awareness. And then slowly I back off again. A little bit of therapeutic inflammation there. I'm going to slowly traction the arm. As a quick review, we worked on the first dorsal interosseous. We worked on, I believe it's adductor pollicis right here in the thenar eminence, right here in the thumb. We worked on the webbing through the thumb and pointer finger. We worked on the forearm flexors, including the forearm extensors on this side, the forearm flexors, and then a muscle whose name I cannot remember. You should write in the comments below and tell me what I said earlier, because I can't recall it. Sliding again up through the forearm. Gently gliding from the left to the right. These muscles have softened a bit, so I've got a little more feel. To the other side. A little bit lighter this time. We did the deeper work before. Now it's just sort of superficial, moving the layers around that we've softened. Pronator teres, that was the name. Pronator teres is the guy on the opposite side that rolls the radius closed. Right through there. I'm taking my time. I've backed off just a little bit. I don't want this to be quite as intense as what we did before. Bodywork is as much an art as a science. I'm always trying to find out more about the science and why it works. But when I'm working with someone, there's the art of creating space for Karina to relax and release. How do I interact with tissue? How much pressure do I use? Those things are all variable depending on the person I'm working with, depending on their degree of pain, their degree of discomfort. I went right up between the radius and ulna, lengthening that guy. I've skipped over the elbow joint now, starting just a little bit up the arm. And then I'm going to go a little bit more lateral towards this ulna right here. There's a little bit more over here. I can position this point on my hand so it makes a little bit better contact. I can get a little handshake grip if I'd like, just for some traction. I'm leaning towards my pinky finger just a bit more. You'll always study anatomy. You'll always review, think, do some research, try to find out what the research studies, what the science says. But I can tell you right now, Karina wants me to feel right under my hand, right along this side. And gently move those fingers around, maybe traction. It was fairly dense. I backed off just a hair. She gave me a loud exhale. Feeling my way closer and closer towards the elbow. You'll notice again, I've used no cream. I have some available if I need it, but I actually find I get better skin traction without it. I can usually go deeper, more effectively, and more easy without the extra lubrication. I can slide right up to the elbow along her ulna. Across. Now, as I get to the elbow itself, I'm backing off just a hair to slide over. I start to get to the bicep, tricep insertions on the opposite side of the elbow. Then I back off again. I'm just going to shake her arm out. I'm feeling for movement across the joints that we've worked. Her arm's like a limp noodle. That's usually the desired outcome. Then traction again. Lengthening all of these carpals, creating space. If these muscles are compressing all of this, we're trying to open it up, trying to create more room. Feels more spacious. I want to say it increases blood flow, but if you go look at research studies, does it? Oh, good question. I don't know. What does the research say? Most of the research money goes to pharmaceuticals. I'm going to shake the arm out. I'm going to start to feel through the elbow here. Now, in a clinical session, I would definitely go up into the forearm more, go up into the bicep, the upper arm, probably the tricep. You can feel this in here. It feeds into that. Gonna get a traction out across the forearm. Gonna mobilize this just a little. Open this up. Spread the palm. Feeling my way around. Is there something else I need to work? I can always form this handshake grip again. Right along the ulna, right there. Feels dense to me. I'm holding that very supported. And I'm slowly gonna pull. How's that there, Karina? Yeah. Now, here's the thing. As far as bone stacking is concerned, I sometimes, for better or worse, compare myself to Bruce Lee because I can stack my bones perfectly. I've done this for years and years and years. This has no or very little impact on my joints. It's all muscle supporting this perfectly propped position to be able to deliver the maximum amount of force with the least amount of effort. She's turning her head. She wants to run away because of that. So I'm going to back off just a little. I'm going to reach over with these fingers right along the ulna and glide out. Again, I'm always striving to stack myself perfectly so that I'm supporting my own body's processes. Much like Bruce Lee, you deliver the maximum amount of force with the least amount of effort. Go in. A little bit of blood flow through there, right towards the elbow. Oh, yeah. She wants to run away now. You'll notice she's turned her head away from me. She says, "You're never making another Psychetruth video with us." Right in there. Is it too much? If I need to reinforce, if I feel like it's too much strain, I can come in and support that thumb. Now, can you move your hand and wrist around at all? There you go. So I can sometimes give her 75% of the pressure and then allow her to choose how much she wants, because she can mobilize more if she decides she wants to. I'm gonna lengthen the arm again. And just to say goodbye, I'm gonna traction through the hand one last time. And move that around. Tell me how that feels.
It feels really good.
Yes.
It feels really loose and really easy.
Yeah.
Easy to move.
If you think you have carpal tunnel, a basic sequence like that can really help. It doesn't matter even if you've been diagnosed with having clinical carpal tunnel syndrome. A lot of people in addition are having myofascial pain in addition to that carpal tunnel syndrome.